good morning, or I should say good afternoon, good evening. It depends when you're going to watch this video. It's a great pleasure to participate in this forum dedicated to migrant and refugee education and organized in the framework of a prestigious conference that offers us a privileged platform to jointly explore diversity in all its empirical manifestations and implications. As well known, diversity is a multifaceted and controversial topic, able to attract the public attention on a series of sensitive issues and problems. But at the same time, if well managed, diversity is able to generate growth opportunities and competitive advantages, not only for profit organizations, but also for the broader local communities. Such aspects coexist. The opportunity of optimizing the advantages relies on a set of knowledge, skills and behaviors, the so-called intercultural competence, that needs to be owned by all community members. In this framework, immigrant languages represent a key component of the set of competencies, and if well addressed, they could play an important role on social cohesion. It's not only me who believes that, but it's an hypothesis which is also supported by the literature. In this brief presentation, I'll try to support such hypothesis, illustrating what experienced by the city of Reggio Emilia, where I live and work. In my work experience, I had the chance to see firsthand the ambivalence described in the literature. An ambivalence that results from different values and impacts attributed to immigrant languages. At the same time, I could also see ways and strategies of reducing such ambivalence thanks to effective intercultural policies able to minimize the disadvantages and maximize the advantages. Immigrant multilingualism is therefore a very complex topic. In many countries, studies on this sensitive topic have been conducted from different perspectives. In more general terms, these researches underline the presence of advantages and disadvantages. Just to mention some of them. Immigrant multilingualism is often associated to underachievement in school and to social and cultural isolation. This condition has, of course, a stronger impact on the first generation of immigrants, those who actually migrated, to be clear, but it could also concern their descendant generations, those who are born in the receiving countries. A study carried out in Germany, just to mention one as an example, claims that many immigrant children have a lower achievement level due to the fact that about 40% of them speak a language other than German at home. At the same time, immigrant languages represent a great asset as languages that can potentially connect local communities to all the rest of the world. Considering immigrant language as a deficit or as a resource doesn't come as a neutral decision. It is affected by the social and political landscape that somehow shaped immigrant integration. The city of Reggio Emilia, for instance, has adopted a very effective two-way integration process, with meaningful intercultural policy and actions addressed to the whole local population. To be clear, not only to that part who have a migrant background, as happened in many other places. The promotion of immigrant languages is not an exception. In particular, in 2001, the municipality created the Intercultural Center Mondi Insieme, which is today a foundation, with the precise task of coordinating the active participation of various migrant associations in the public city's life. With an attention to the whole local community and a strong investment in network building, Mondi Insieme made the ideal of a two-way integration process real, flexible, and sustainable in the long term. The path here reported illustrates all actions so far taken. We have to keep in mind that national educational policies and guidelines insist on the acquisition of the Italian language, ignoring the immigrant ones. Therefore, most of the actions to promote such languages have an informal nature. Anyway, this informal nature doesn't not compromise the expected impact. Given the short time at disposal for this video registration, I cannot comment each activity here reported. I would only like to draw your attention on a couple of elements. First of all, if you look at these two lines defined by the left blue boxes, respectively immigrant and non-immigrant origin, you see that also the population of non-immigrant origin is targeted. The activity reported in the right red box, named Pilot IL Courses, is an example. All local public high schools with multilingual programs only teach traditional EU languages such as English, French, German, and Spanish. There are some recent experiments in private schools with some extra EU languages, such as Arabic and Chinese, as they are more and more demanded by the local job market. It also happens that these two languages correspond to the languages more widespread among our local immigrant population. Reason why the Manzini Foundation organized in some public high schools afternoon courses in these two languages, valuing teachers with a migrant background. And we have to say that they are usually underrepresented in the teaching profession. It's interesting to note that many second-generation students also participated in these courses, somehow expressing a need to improve the knowledge of the languages of their parents. It was interesting to note how roles were overturned. While these students are often among those with a higher school failure, in these language courses they were in an advantageous position. They even offered help to their mates of Italian origin. Positive results and impacts broader than the simple language learning were so achieved. In particular, an increase in their self-esteem and a reduction of their school dropout. These positive effects resulting from a valorization of the immigrant languages are then amplified by the activity described in the violet box. In the Mother Tongue Tutor Project, university students of migrant origin offer assistance to high school students and their families having in common with him or with her the same geocultural origin. In this project, immigrant languages are fundamental skills to access this job and to produce expected impact. I'll be pleased to give you more information on this project during the Q&A session on the 9th. As you can see, there is a second element that characterizes this comprehensive approach. And this is the distribution of actions alongside the whole life cycle. To conclude the slide, I can say that this integrated way to support immigrant multilingualism, spreading the benefits on the whole local population, has a double aim to satisfy a cultural need and to develop or strengthen cultural and linguistic skills that can be valued in the job market. Anyway, we cannot expect the local job market is able to automatically catch this opportunity. The job market needs to be sensitized and supported. Reason why the Manzini Foundation launched a dedicated program called Plural Economics and Diversity Through Innovation, of which I'm in charge and to which I would like to dedicate the rest of my presentation. To help organizations to get the most out of competencies resulting from diversity, we have created a digital tool able to photograph the diversity of workers of a given organization in a given moment and to track all demographic changes over the time. This tool is called Diversity Rating 2.0, and it is inspired to an already existing tool created by a Danish organization. Compared to the original one, our tool modifies and improves many functions. So we consider it as an upgraded version of the previous one. The tool is not an end in itself. It is expected to help organizations to better know their workers and to then design diversity management policies and practices able to value that precise diversities. It has so far been successfully adopted by 44 companies. How does it work? Well, now there is no time to go into details, just for you to know that for each individual worker, data related to these 4 dimensions have to be initially inserted in order to be then aggregated through a preset formula, which are able to estimate the relative diversity indexes. Data are directly provided by the HR systems. Those related to the geocultural origin need to pass through a process of further transformation in order to provide relevant second-level information. For organizations, it's, for example, important to distinguish between the first generation and the second generation of immigrants, as levels of proficiency in their languages of origin may differ. For the topic here discussed, it can be then interesting to see how we try to cluster the immigrant languages potentially spoken by the workers of a given organization. We try to aggregate immigrant languages according to language families, but making some significant simplifications. Why this aggregation? The aim is to overcome the simple use of the linguistic and cultural competencies of a worker in relation to his or her country of origin. An example: if a company needs to interact with another company based in Tunisia, but it doesn't have a worker with that specific country origin, it can draw from any worker belonging to the Arabic-speaking cluster. More the size of the organization is larger, more this immigrant languages mapping becomes useful. The creation of these clusters is therefore very arbitrary and functional to the immigrants' countries of origin effectively present in our territory. If the tool had to be used in another Italian city or country, I would suggest to reorganize such clusters. One of the greatest advantages of this tool is, in fact, its extreme flexibility. I would now conclude my presentation recalling the importance of valuing immigrant languages, trying to prevent and reduce possible negative impacts. There are no standard solutions. Each local community has to find the proper combination of methods and stakeholder involvement, as Reggio Emilia and I'm sure many other cities try to do. Informality is not always an obstacle. Informal practices allow sometimes to reach a greatest impact. In Reggio Emilia, the contribution given by migrant associations through the informal language courses is fundamental for the success of the whole presented approach. Policy advocacy is then important to put pressure on the concerned public actors so that they introduce measures that can support the asset argument. Some examples are bilingual education and the employment of bilingual personnel as any other examples. Thank you for your attention and I hope to meet you on the 9th.